Welcome to Season 2 of Fictional Problems, the podcast where we discuss all things writing, in association with Speculative Fiction Ireland. On today's episode, we're diving into time travel, how writers use it, the different rules and methods that make it work, and why we can't stop coming back to stories like Back to the Future and The Terminator. From fixed timelines to paradoxes and butterfly effects, we are talking about what makes time travel such a powerful and dangerous storytelling tool. Join us. All right, we are back for Season 2 of Fictional Problems with myself, Gary J. Martin.
And not himself, or McNevin.
You're not yourself today, is it?
Well, I'm not you.
You're not me.
I'm me.
Yeah.
It does bring to mind that we ended the season without having the four most common tropes of the marriage, the divorce, the baby, or it's marriage, divorce, baby, and death.
Okay.
Yeah. So every sweep, if you look at back over the course of network TV show, anything that's in May sweeps, they'll have one of those four or more than four.
Okay. Well,
the TV show Popular had all four, and they made a big point of it.
Okay, we definitely didn't do that.
We didn't kill anyone. We didn't have a baby as much as we may want,
or get divorced,
or get married, or announce divorces, or
yeah. We didn't do that. But today, I think we are going to discuss the fantastic element of time travel.
Yes, the often maligned and rightly maligned time travel, because it's incredibly hard to get it right. Because it is, we'll go into the details of the three and only three ways of time travel that exists.
Only three.
Only three.
That could be argued.
It can, and whoever's on the other side of it, I pity them. I've made not to study this, but I think I've got a good sense of it. It's a fictional thing.
Yes.
But inside that fictional trope, there's only some ways you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that in a bit. But
I was very tempted to start this particular episode by going, and that was our episode on time travel.
Yeah.
I hope everyone enjoyed it. That's great. It was a good, healthy discussion about all kinds of aspects, and thanks to everyone for listening.
Yeah.
Just to save me editing it backwards, like a loop.
Yeah. Then we have to do the entire thing again from the start, and it has to be predestination paradox.
Or when I'm editing, I just take the end of it and put it at the front.
Yeah, well, in which case
but I'm not going to do it.
That's still very possible.
Yeah, messing with time.
Well, it is because the reason why it's I think it's so poorly done is that it is a want that many writers have,
mm-hmm.
without understanding the full scope of what they're doing. If you ignore the science fiction fantasy elements of time travel, just on a story level, you are taking information from one point of the story and you're putting it at an earlier point in that story.
Yeah.
A anecdote from many, many years ago. One of the first screenplays I wrote years ago, we took a scene that was in pages 40 to 44, and we brought it back to being the cold open, essentially, of the screenplay. By 40 minutes in to a movie, a lot of things have been established.
Sure.
That scene, as written, popped in, and we didn't do many edits on that scene itself, and we allowed there to be ambiguity.
Okay.
But you're introducing elements that those following scenes didn't have in the first draft of the original draft. So if you're simply talking about the stopping of a murder, or this person got murdered, you go back in time to stop the murder.
Sure.
That's simply about, okay, I have information that this murder will stop. Great. But every other element that you're bringing back with you would have an effect. Like, there was a very bad TV show. There was actually two time travel TV shows that came out around the same time, both of which had the same demographic makeup. There was the white hero, the white female scientific lead, and then there was a black guy pilot.
Okay.
And in they were both bad.
Timeless
was the one that survived.
Okay.
And the other one, which
I thought you were describing Timeless.
No, it was Timeless. Timeless was the one of the two.
Yeah.
And then there was Rewind, I think, which was the other one. And in this, they went back in time to the 1910s, 1920s. The three of them got dressed up in appropriate attire. They were hunting another time traveler. They got dressed in the appropriate attire. They traveled into a basement of a hotel, and then they basically went out that way.
Had their adventure.
On their adventure. While doing this, so they all dressed up in as correct attire. They walk through the lobby. They go out. They get a car. They basically hotwire a car. They take that car. They drive down to the place they need to get to.
Okay.
While going down there, they have a near car crash with a bootlegger, and then the story continues. So I just mentioned 3 elements: walking through the lobby, hot wiring a car, having a near crash with the bootlegger. The bootlegger's contents basically they're back streets or back roads that were barely roads, no street lights because they were bootleggers. They didn't have their lights on, and also lights in the cars back then were very, very bad.
Sure.
That their shipment got destroyed. So just take those 3 elements, and this is things that they didn't even address inside the show. 1, you have a African American guy walking through a lobby of an upscale hotel where the only other black faces around them are servant level. So you have a bellhop there opening the door for a black guy who.
Of course, we're talking about the United States.
Yes, well. So 1910, 1920s. Probably, and then
no one would bat an eye in parts of Europe.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Well, there was still a lot of racism in Europe. Yeah, America didn't get its racism from nowhere. So yeah, eugenics came from Europe. So just that, and if you study, let's take that one character, right? That one bellhop character who sees this thing, and that moment inspires him. That's something. Oh, look! So someone who looks like me can actually raise his stature. Raise his stature. Absolutely. So then they go off. They maybe inspire other people. Suddenly, they even if you take that they inspire themselves, they inspire their children, or they inspire the community.
Like when Michael J. Fox inspires Goldie, what was it named, Goldie, to become mayor?
Yes,
of Hill Valley.
Yeah, so. But that was that's predestination. In this, if this was a plastic universe that one can change, we'll get those things.
Yeah, the different types.
In a second.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. But that could be a great positive influence. Or it could be great negative influence. That guy could have seen, Uncle Tom, whatever. You could have taken a very, very bad impression from that. He goes home. He may be a bad person. He beats his children. Or he gets drunk. Whatever. Any reaction is possible, but a reaction will have happened. Even if you
won't go home and forget it.
Yeah, like that will have an impact on that person, or it could have even a very, very minor impact.
Yeah,
that will have an impact. The car. So they hotwire a car and steal it. Who owns that car? Gas is not cheap.
Car is not cheap.
Could
have been the entire life savings of that person to get it.
Yeah, and think of the amount of different one thing with that we should talk about is the idea of every character has its own life. There is a line I often use from Willem Dafoe that when he's asked if he liked to play heroes or villains, he says it doesn't matter, they're all righteous. But it's every character has a life. So if you are just using a character there for just progress the plot,
set design, yeah.
Why? Or at least you should have in the back of your mind, this person has a life. That will I heard of a writer who have files full of information, full of backstory about characters you never see.
Yeah,
and then that's simply the joy of the world building. It's to quote a different writer, Steve Moffat often used to say that every episode of Doctor Who that he wrote was a movie in itself. That he was wasting a movie script, the content of a movie for this 45-minute episode, which it states the amount of effort it's putting in. Some were incredibly good, some really not. But that's still it's still a idea of putting the work in.
The original concept for Doctor Who, of course, being edutainment.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Originally, they were just to go to times in history and educate the audience on what was going on at that time, and it turned into this.
It was just
obviously went off the rails into.
It was a grandfather talking to his grandchildren.
Yeah,
which was great. And indeed, regeneration and is one of the fantastic elements of storytelling. That so small, so simple, so fundamentally great.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, just by that the owner of that car, their wife could be pregnant, and I think rather than the person would be pregnant themselves. Unlikely for a woman to own a car at that point. Not my fault. It was time.
Okay.
But their wife could be pregnant. They need the car. It's not there. The fuel tank is empty when they get there. They all these things. It does. They need to get to a job. All that.
Clearly, the characters don't care.
Exactly.
They're not written to care.
Yeah. And then if you then get to the bootlegger, and this is I guess I do have a wrap up into it, or this appears around. Do you know the origins of NASCAR?
No, I do not know.
Okay.
NASCAR, I'm presuming it has something to do with bootlegging.
It does. Oh,
wow! Connective tissue.
Aren't you a wonderful? So yeah, you're so bootlegging. So they would soup up their cars, to basically to outrun the cops.
Yeah,
because they were again on back roads. The cops had radios, but it was through the Appalachian Mountains and all that jazz. The signals weren't going that far or that fast, and to find another cop who was going to try to intercept them, it's not like you're going to this crossroads. It is back roads, right? So just simply outrun them to get their because if they were found without cargo, then or without their shipment, then nothing could be done.
Yeah.
NASCAR, because so when they were off, when they weren't doing work, when they weren't doing these things, shipments, they had these really souped up cars, so they raced them, and that became the origin of NASCAR.
The noble origins of NASCAR.
Yes,
originated in criminality.
Oh, 100%. Like most of the like the current occupant of the White House. Oh no, wait, no, that's not good. Right. But then just take that one. So that's just one element. That owner of that truck could have been would have been part of the origin of NASCAR. Maybe a small part, maybe a large part, maybe no influence at all. Maybe a massive influence. It was a large truck, large shipment, clearly a large operation. So, and simply because they wanted this moment, they're not accepting what time will have next. Imagine the amount of whiskey or amount of booze on that truck that didn't get to a destination. What effect does that have on the clients, on the customers? What if it's a drive home?
How many people kept their job because they weren't drunk?
How many people lost their jobs because they couldn't get? How many people were violent non-drink or violent if they didn't get a drink?
Sure.
Who were think of the amount of personalities who have a direct requirement for alcohol. And just the amount of stories that have been written and can be written about that. The shipment doesn't go. They've lost their money. Maybe that's the last shipment they could do. Maybe maybe this was a make or break shipment. They piled on this one big shipment, get to his location, and they have enough money for years to come.
So there's this main kind of what you're describing is speaking to my mind like the malleable timelines, the kind of instead of the predestination and the likes of Prisoner of Azkaban, where the time turner, Harry Potter goes back and saves himself because Harry Potter went back and saved himself, and he always had done. Yeah, it's you go back in time because you have at some point in the future gone back in time, and it's not so much a loop; it's a line. Well, as opposed to the butterfly effect type idea, where you go back and you step on a butterfly and
exactly. Yeah, this is the butterfly effect is, I guess, the more granular, more kind of philosophical idea.
Yeah,
that you step on the butterfly, wind blows in a hurricane kicks up in Malaysia. I was wrong before about the Marty influencing Goldie. That was a part of plastic universe, not predestination, because Back to the Future is plastic. So yes, so the types of there is 3 types. There is only 3 types.
That's Harold.
Right. So we've already mentioned 2 of them.
Yeah.
One is the predestination universe. So whatever you do, it's already been done. The time turners are incredibly bad example because it was just thrown in for things. If you have something of that small power, scale it up.
Yeah, especially since they forgot that they had it as soon as they used it for that particular plot point.
Yeah, so there's if you have something so powerful, you have to figure out rather than it being that cool. It's so very bad. I think in one of the movies they shattered it, and then they went along in the Cursed Child. They used a massive one to go back in time. So if you have that capability, you have to acknowledge its influence on the world itself. You have to put guardrails on, which again, I started into one thing, and that's the next part, right? So
Plastic
universe.
Malleable timelines.
Yes. Typically, they are focused around an individual or a place. So, for example, Back to the Future is one of the few almost perfect plastic universes because it clearly shows two different timelines and it's focused on him. There's very, very few scenes that Marty's not in wholly.
Yeah.
There's one or two where Doc Brown is there, but and even through across the three movies, they maintain that structure, which is great. And then they destroy it. Now, doesn't mean that another time travel machine can be created. Indeed, he does. He creates the train, but the story is so focused on that one family.
Yeah.
That other time travel events could have happened all over the world with other machines.
Yeah.
They're specific to that, so they don't affect the grand scheme of things. So in that one universe, time travel is allowed in a microscopic way. They're not looking to change things. And I guess that's one could make an argument that if you're using time travel, make it small scale.
Yeah, it's a family story.
Exactly. Yeah, focus on the story because you're only changing
small town America.
Yeah. They're in a small town. They're not looking at a big city. Not looking at killing Hitler. They're not looking at any of the really big stuff.
Yeah.
It is just the success. Essentially, it's the success of a science fiction writer and a nuclear physicist that are really having that is ultimately what has changed. And one person, Marty, has some revelations in his life that he doesn't care about being called chicken anymore, which was an introduction in the second movie that was resolved in the third, essentially.
Yeah, he grows.
Yeah, so there's so the time travel mechanics are such that allows for the story to happen, and the as we discussed with the rewind example, that they had the mechanics overwhelm the story. So we're talking about the structure. So plastic things can change. Predestination, things can't change. Things have already happened.
Terminator
1.
Yeah.
Terminator 2 is plastic.
Are they though?
Yeah. Because you can't have Terminator 1. Terminator doesn't happen without the Terminator being sent back.
Yeah.
Because John Connor can't send him back, can't send Reese back without basically having sex with Reese having sex with his mother.
Yeah. Skynet invents itself, and Skynet also causes the birth of its greatest adversary.
Yes, and indeed, that's again a local story. You are talking about in this grand things happening. Oh my God, this is world shattering. But really, it's about a zombie, an unkillable zombie going after one person.
Yeah,
killing one or two people on the way, but really that's their target. And a solo person who is sent back to save. It's a David and Goliath story. So it's the time travel element of Terminator just sets it up.
Yeah.
It is the background. You could change that. You could change the details of that to remove time travel completely. And it could be the machine or the creature or whatever was created in present day and that there's no time travel element at all. That it's not necessary for that movie. It is just a nice story because of the time travel.
Yeah.
Terminator 2 is a plastic universe. They're going out of their way to change the future. It is wonderful, as both those movies are fantastically amazing.
Yeah. Terminator 2 is
and the Judgment Day edition is. I remember it being 14. I remember worrying about in Savoy one, worrying about the staff yanking me out for 15 certain movies.
Any moment now they're going to find it,
because all the rest of the people I knew were all at that time were all at least a year old.
Yeah.
But watching the rock album cover of the Terminators, the carrying two plasma rifles in the 40-watt range, and just like a double carry, and just going through. This was, and I think that wasn't the movie.
Yeah,
that was the thing that they're trying to stop.
Yeah,
and that is such a one. This is, yeah. You can give out about things. You can give out about Cameron and all his ways, and you can give out about all the Avatar movie, all and all the hell that apparently they went through on the Abyss and so. And you can talk about how he was a terrible person. And he's a horror, but he makes some really fucking good movies. Not so much these, but no, in the back, these were.
Aliens was one of my all-time favorites.
Yes, these are fantastic movies, and it is the people who are creating who are using them these days are just they're shallow. They're not understanding what they're not seeing what the guy put down. Like the inspiration for it. This was his interpretation of a dream. So it was. Terminator, fantastic. Terminator 2, fantastic. So with the second one, they're going out of the way to change them, and indeed they have hope at the end.
Yeah,
because the first one ended with Sarah Connor driving towards the storm, and the second one ends with them driving into the darkness of we don't know what's going to happen.
Sure.
Which is lovely, and if you completely forget what happened directly after that, because it didn't actually happen, no other.
It was only 2 Terminator movies.
There's never been a sequel to them.
Yes, there's only 2 Terminator movies.
Yeah.
Same now, there's only 3 Indiana Jones movies.
The Last Crusade. Yeah. Yes, never any. Last Crusade, again, lovely fucking movie.
Yeah.
This is. I don't know. Are we just two old white guys who like look at these and think they're better because they're back in time? That our origins are.
I don't think so. I think they're objectively bad sequels.
Oh, I see that. I think that too. But
yeah, I think they're objectively bad.
I'm questioning the objectiveness of it. That they're bad, I think they're fucking terrible.
They're just poorly written, badly executed.
Yeah, and they're not looking to do anything positive. They're just filling a void. Right. So maybe next episode. Right.
Like the Dial of Dysentery. Is
yeah.
So removes Indy as a character.
I get that they want to get Phoebe Waller-Bridger as the next to take her over. The thing is, you can do that, but you can do that without destroying the character. You can respect the character that's gone before. There was something that happened recently that made me think that was done in a better way. I'll remember in a second. Yeah. And so that's if you're changing things, it's plastic. If you're not changing things, it's predestination. The third way is multiverse. So
multiverse, yeah.
So you have
alternate timelines.
You have a infinite number of multiverse. So you can change things, but it doesn't matter. There's a name that I was thinking about. I'll drive over. There's one book that even suggests that their method of it's a sci-fi that their method of jumping, as in a hyperspace jump, puts them into a different timeline. That they actually but when they go into hyperspace, they don't come out in the same timeline that they left in. They come out in a slightly different one, and that is ultimate bunk. Because if they're engaged in the war and they're fighting, it's really bad. Because
there are some elements of like that. You go technically, is it time travel if someone's dealing with like the time travel of relativity, as in the faster, or closer to light speed you go, the more dilated time is.
Sure.
For those characters, while hundreds of years are passing, along the lines of Interstellar or that kind of thing. Like the relativity is essentially science is saying, you can travel forward in time.
Yes, forward in time.
As in beyond your lifetime, you can definitely travel forward in time, but it's a one-way trip, and there's no going back. It's not that fun Back to the Future, where we appear at this point in time in the past, and we change things. There's a number of books that would and movies that kind of deal with that relativity,
and that is, but that is, as you say, it's not going back in time.
Yeah, and it's not useful. It's time travel.
As useful, no, but as a storytelling device, I think it's very nice. I think there's a book, I'm trying to remember, where basically these navigators, they would leave their planet and they'd come back 50 years later. And the planets they were leaving from were relatively stagnant. They'd regressed to not a medieval. There are medieval elements to their futuristic worlds, but there's no development happening. So when they came back 50 years later, all their friends would be older.
Yeah.
Most many would be dead, but the societies hadn't progressed.
Yeah. Well, Planet of the Apes is kind of like that as well. You know, insofar as it's a relative, it's one of those relativity type time travel elements where the astronauts experience some space phenomenon and come back to, well, spoiler.
Yeah. Well, they come back to Earth. But in the later movies, they do time travel where the apes, Cornelius and I can't remember the name of his mate, go back in time, and their child becomes Caesar.
Yeah. Okay.
So they do have a full time loop again. But that is also predestination, where all the events and it works because they're not interfering. And they actually, we did it. We slipped into kind of critique of movies and their successors.
Yeah.
One thing that the successor movies have done is they've interfered with the movies that went before. They have devalued or they have deconstructed the movies and stories that went before. In Planet of the Apes, the last movie, The Destruction of Planet of the Apes, I think it's called, they travel back in time, and then that becomes this origin point for how the Earth,
for everything else. Yeah,
all your stories fit in perfectly, because they're not saying that Charlton Heston's character didn't happen, or he was a different type of person, or he didn't go, or they stopped him from going. No, everything happened the way it happened. It's just they're putting kind of a bookend on it in a nice kind of defeatist way.
Yeah. Okay. What is the third time travel element you're talking about? Because what you've kind of described is one that, the idea of the loop.
Well, no,
that's what you're thinking.
That's predestination. All predestinations are closed loops.
Yeah, but like say the likes of, I don't know, the Groundhog Day being, you wouldn't necessarily think it's time travel, but he appears at the same point every day.
Yep.
Is that it? That's not necessarily a predestination or a plastic.
It's
kind of a side shoot.
No, it is plastic, because again, so as I said, all time travel falls into a person or a place.
Mm-hmm.
This is a person. So a lot of George R. R. Martin's time travel work involve only the consciousness being set back in time.
Okay, yeah.
There's a lot of
most physical.
Yeah, there's not a physical shift. In Groundhog Day, again, lovely movie. Again, Bill Murray is apparently an asshole, and there's a lot of bad stories that come out. Still a fantastic movie. I don't want my actors, directors, and writers to have a good time. If they have a good time, it's like the thing about if a romantic pair. It said that if they don't hook up during the movie, then the sexual tension is on the screen. If they do hook up during the movie, sexual tension has been burned out by them basically having sex by themselves and not feeling it. How dare they? But with I want artists to be tortured. I'm tortured enough during my writing. I want other people to be tortured too. The
cliche of the tortured artist.
I'm a fucking tortured.
Struggling.
Absolutely fucking lutely. We struggle for our art. Mm-hmm. But the mind going back in time, that's perfectly fine. Again, so it's and because there's only one person being affected by it, the world isn't. It's not. He's not trying to figure out how to stop a bomb. And there's so many different versions of that Groundhog Day story that came out after it.
Yeah,
where they had, oh my God, we're going to stop this, stop the world from ending. The good ones, like there was Boss Level. Don't know if you're interested in this one, which was your man who. One of the guys, I can't remember his name, he's in Marvel as one of the guys who attacked Captain America during Winter Soldier. He's been in tons of stuff. He gets caught into a loop where all these people are trying to kill him. He learns through about hundreds of loops. And all he wants to do is save his ex-wife or wife.
Yeah. So I would say, well, from a book example, there is All You Need Is Kill. Which they adapted into the movie with Tom Cruise.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah. In a similar way, it's like a total non-combative officer, doesn't have a clue about anything, keeps getting killed, keeps getting better.
Yeah.
It's almost like a video game, you know.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So, but again, that's affecting, and then they expand that slightly. But when what Emily Blunt's character says, and she's had the power before, she got a blood transfusion, she lost the power. There'll be still, she is aware of, but she never advances beyond that point anymore. She had her own loop.
Yeah,
and it's like the idea from
great movie.
Oh, great movie, actually. It's actually a great movie. I say great. We'll call it a great big movie, and it's a wonderful thing that you can sit down with a bunch of popcorn and enjoy every time, because it does shift gear, because it does have I'd say from a storytelling point of view, it does has a problem once it tries to shift out of the time travel. Once they get to the point of going, okay, we no longer have time travel ability, we have one more chance.
Yeah,
that process where even when Cruise and Blunt get to the farmhouse and there's a helicopter outside and he's stopping it, like, you don't survive past this point.
Yeah,
that the story takes over, and so they have the story and the mechanics, I think, have a uncomfortable jarring moment at that point.
Yeah,
because I'll happily watch the first hour again of Cruise being run over and being
smashed and ripped apart and
all over. I don't have issues, but it's when they get to that point that you go, oh, okay, and no more new stuff can happen. Kind of all the options are collapsed down to this one possible path, and they're going to win it. And they're going to get out. Even at the end, when they kind of do a little bit of reset, it's like, okay, no, that's sequel bait rather than story.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but to cap off the multiverse thing, the reason why it doesn't work is that it doesn't matter what you do. Every other timeline is out there.
Yeah.
So if you acknowledge there was a wonderful German time travel TV show called Dark.
Okay.
I would highly recommend it. This is something that you can't have to switch your mind on for the entire thing. It's 3 seasons. It's 10 episodes per. It's on Netflix. There is subtitled versions of it and dubbed versions of it because it's in German. It is, and it's in a small town. It is a near perfect plastic universe time travel movie. I think predestination time travel movie. Actually, I tell the story until the last line of the second season, where one of the characters goes, "Oh, something like this timeline is failed." Like this, she basically acknowledges that there's a multiverse out there, and from that moment, it just collapses on itself.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was because the first season was so great, and the second season was so great, and you're looking at this going, that person is you see that same person existing in multiple different states, different actors playing the different.
Yeah, okay.
I must go back and watch it again, and it's the sort of thing that's so common.
Are they encountering themselves and that sort of thing?
Some of them are. Yeah, there's some people encounter this, but they don't know themselves. They encounter, like, there's many encounters of, say, older daughters encountering their fathers, so and there is some. I was about to say questionable relationships. No, there's some relationships that are happening between generations.
Yeah,
which are, like, say, you have 3 different families. So you have the son of one of the family who is the older version having an affair with this person, and there's even in one timeline, and this is where much more that the idea of the story and the working even without the time element.
Yeah,
there is a simple story about a few of these families. There's affairs happening between them. There's simple dramas happening.
Yeah,
and then you put the time travel on top.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Is it a case of with time travel stories? Is it better, do you think, if time travel is just a thing, like a device, rather than the story be about the time travel?
That's a incredibly good question. I would say that the problem with every time you introduce time travel into the story, time travel, it becomes about time travel. That if you limit it, then, like, say, we talk about Terminator.
Yeah,
Terminator doesn't need time travel to work as it is the fluff around essentially a story. So in that,
and it's a one and done.
Exactly.
It's not like people are moving.
Exactly. So in that, the mechanic happens essentially before the jumps happen before the movie starts.
Yeah.
They appear into the story. So in that case, those time travel events are ignition moments.
Yeah.
There's no mechanics inside. So yeah, so let me rephrase.
You don't even see the time machine that is
Exactly.
causing it. It's just that
you see the glowing ball
Yeah.
of the event of it entering into the story, and nobody in that story has the power of time travel. If you have I'll rephrase. So if you have the time travel mechanic inside the story, then that's be a problem. If you have the mechanic outside the story, then it does. Then yes, you can have it, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, for like, or was it was Night Watch by Terry Pratchett?
Sure.
You read that one where it's like it's a city guard,
Yeah,
in Ankh-Morpork,
yeah,
and it's like a wizard did it, and next minute he's back in time. He gets involved in some wizard situation. It doesn't even describe it. It just is a thing that happened. Like, you know, the old adage, oh, well, when you don't understand something that happened in the episode, a wizard did it.
sure.
So, and he ends back in time, essentially as a mentor to his younger self.
Really? Okay. Cool.
Which he then remembered. You know, he has these, he always had the memories of some person mentoring him.
Yeah.
He just didn't realize it was himself until, like, obviously, you know, he is the one on the other side of the equation.
So I don't remember that one. Well, I went back and started reading a bunch of Pratchett's old books.
Yeah,
and I stopped after 3, not because it was just I got distracted. I went through Color Magic. I went through the first 3. I was like, okay, that's great. And then I skipped forward. And I read Guards again, which is a different kettle of fish. You know,
yeah,
great writer, fantastic writer.
Yeah.
But that idea of remembering stuff, you triggered me.
Uh-huh.
Oh yes, you triggered me, and not in a good way. Because the worst movie ever made.
Did I guess?
No,
I'm just maybe I'm very intuitive.
I
just know you well.
But fucking know me well. So I broke a tooth while watching Looper. And I was in the cinema and it
doesn't make for a good experience.
I crunched through a kernel and sheared off one of my teeth.
It was the movie's fault.
It was fucking the movie's fault.
Yeah, it has to be.
It is simply one of the worst. It is a great example of bad time travel.
Yeah.
It is. It is just like, we'll ignore the fact that there were scenes in that movie where Bruce Willis walks through one door carrying an MP5 and walks out walking in it carrying a P90.
Wizard did it.
A wizard did it, but they're completely different guns. And we'll ignore the fact that Bruce Willis and whatever the name is,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt
have got different color eyes, and this wasn't addressed.
Wizard did it.
Wizard did it. Yeah, he clearly changed his eyes from blue to brown.
Yeah.
They ignore. Like, we talked briefly about just 3 examples from one small scene of one pilot for a TV show. This is a movie that's filled with them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is from start to finish. To use your point, time travel exists in the story.
Yeah,
repeated actions happen in the story. Like the idea, like the
time travel is a character.
It is the mechanical thing. Yeah. Like, let's just look at Bruce Willis's plot. Is his wife gets killed by guns.
Yeah.
Pause for a moment. It's like subnote 1. Why are they carrying guns? Because people are sent back in time so that they can't be caught of doing murder. Why would you carry a gun in any situation? Because it can be traced. So why carry a gun in the first place? So the wife gets killed, which he shouldn't. He then gets brought to a time machine. Why is there only one? Is there many? Question. Okay, no.
Oh, because time travel is illegal.
No. But what? So, but in the past, you've seen multiple different loopers, multiple different locations. Is it one time machine that launches from one location? Is it multiple time machines across different locations? Are they targetable? Because he gets into the machine and gets targeted at the same spot, so he doesn't go to somewhere else. And his plan is to get into the time machine, to go back in time, to save his wife.
Yeah.
He then fucks with his previous self's future. He needs his previous self to meet him, to go through his own timeline to meet the wife.
Yeah.
So just by stepping back in time,
I can see the veins popping on your forehead.
Just by stepping back in time, he has defeated his own plot.
Yeah.
And this, so it is. I mean, oh god, the the moment where they have Seth. So Seth is another looper, right?
Yeah.
And so also, so for those people who haven't seen this movie,
It's quite a disturbing scene, but it's stupid.
we have to run up to that scene. So the loopers are basically people who kill people who get sent back in time. Every time they get sent back in time, the person is given a bunch of silver.
Yeah.
And then they spend the silver, or in this case, the hero saves the silver. And they know that they have done their final job because that person will have gold. The last person they are sent is back is themselves.
Yeah.
They know that they will be the person who kills themselves. As a concept, kind of nice.
But that was the entire pitch.
It may have been
in the movie executives room.
Well,
they went,
apparently
okay.
a guy who wrote Primer, a fantastic time travel mechanic movie. Story not so great. The story is lackluster.
That's the guys in the boxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to see a great time travel movie, there it is. It is this, but it is also it was like made on a shoestring. But apparently the guy, I think his name is Shane Carruthers,
right,
worked on Looper for a time and apparently left incredibly soon. I'm not dealing with this. So they
time travel principles.
Yeah, he had principles. Time travel principles. So every looper knows that they will be ultimately the person who kills themselves.
Yeah.
And because they arrive with a bag over the head, they don't know this. They pull the trigger and kill them. Why they're not dropping them into a pit of lava or a pit of acid right away, don't know. Because if the time travel machine can be targeted, then just target them in the middle of the ground.
Yeah.
So often does the looper allow themselves to run. There is a term for it. It's like I can't remember the specific term, but they actually in the voiceover they specifically mention this is a common term.
Yeah.
So again, a bad plot inside their own universe.
Yeah.
They're commenting on how bad it is.
It doesn't make sense that you'd even be sent or sent alone to kill yourself.
Yeah,
you should have a backup in case you're not strong enough to do it.
Yeah. So it's so if
fix the plot
exactly,
the movie doesn't happen,
and because it's such
your two stays intact.
Yeah, they're so bad. So in the movie, Seth, who is one of the loopers, who's a bit crazy, he lets his former self run, and then the younger self is captured by the mob, and then is slowly but surely cut up into pieces while the older self runs away. Now, this is where we get the conflict between predestination and plastic, because both exist in this movie, and this is why it's so fucking bad.
It doesn't hold to its own internal logic.
My God, my muscle just popped in my back.
Yeah,
my shoulder just did a thing. It's like, I know, I'll get through it. Give me a sec. So as he gets into
the blood coming from your ears,
there's don't worry, it's the Ebola. It's fine. This is movie version Ebola. It's just I feel my organs just destroying themselves.
Yeah, he might tell us how he really feels about it.
The only upside of this, haven't mentioned fan fiction, right? So
Sam count it.
You're counting it, right?
Got to stare 45 minutes.
Yeah, he gets in the older version gets in a car. So his tongue gets removed.
Mm-hmm.
They cut words into his arm.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's just stop there for a second. So the old guy got away because he sung a song that the younger version would a childhood memory. The younger version would know. If he didn't have the tongue when he arrived there, which the timeline said so, he couldn't sing a song. If he had the words carved into his arm, he would have, that would have been information that he would have since for decades. So he could have made different decisions. In the car, they remove his legs, so he can no longer press the gas. How did he get from where he was to the car if he didn't have any legs? So it's a ain't it cool scene of this guy slowly being kind of chopped to pieces, and then a different mechanic wise. If you take that scene out, I can see that putting into a different story and being used in a different way. but but it just doesn't. It's like a wizard does it.
Yeah.
If you basically say magic does this,
yeah.
then perfect. I have no problem with that. But you set up your own rules, and if you don't understand your fucking own rules, then what? So
Take a breath.
Oh
no.
It is a wonderful example of shit. Of a it's I think it's in recent times who made it. Same it was Ryan Johnson, the same guy who has proved himself to be utterly talentless. Do you like the glass onion? I don't. Do you like the all that stuff he's doing now? I don't. I hated him first. I'm a fucking hipster. Right.
Congratulations.
Yeah. All right. So to boil it back, I think your question about how time travel interacts with the story is the better question to ask.
Yeah.
Because we could talk about the mechanics of it, because those three things, they're the only way you can do it. Any story out there either doesn't make sense. Me complaining about Looper, it's because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That the logic doesn't pass from one to another. In a thing where you're introducing any sort of magic or any sort of sci-fi, you're adding a element to the universe that exists. While we can joke about a wizard did it,
yeah,
in any magical system, and I will rant about this to be acceptable, has a logic to it.
Yeah,
it is. The wizard needs this to do that. It is. I need my wand to do this, or I need a spell to do this.
Yeah, and I think in terms of, say, the difference between movie adaptations or movie stories involving time travel and books involve time travel, I think movies tend, because it's more visual, they can tend to get away more often with things that you don't have to go into the real guts of time travel in a movie.
I would give more.
But in books, I suppose, because it's a slower burn, people are reading it. Your brain is turned on a little bit more when you're reading as opposed to watching. So people writing time travel can be a bit more even challenging than.
Well, on that level. So one of the next books I'm releasing this year is called Time and Again, and in it there is it's a plastic universe, and there is a event that will take you through the entire season. I think that will improve the season of I've planned out 9 book thing, or 9 novella.
Okay,
as in, like, I'm aiming to kind of short episodic pieces, and this is one of my big challenges at the moment, because I want it to be as perfect a time travel story. Because I can just go, yeah, so it's in the timey-wimey,
yeah,
but I want this to be as perfect a time travel story as possible. The problem with that is it takes some of the fun out of it, because I have to figure out everything. So if you look at the best long run stories that we have out there, Babylon 5, Song of Ice and Fire, Lord of the Rings, these things where a certain quotient of them were written ahead of schedule, a certain part of them were written afterwards. George R. R. Martin had planned a 5-year time jump, which he removed from Song of Ice and Fire. J. Moss Gracie, due to many different things, only got about 80% of what he had planned on screen. So, but for me, for the writing, if you're doing it for a job, that's one thing. If you have if it's your entire life, then you can spend 40 hours a week figuring this stuff out and putting kind of the graft in, I guess, the work in. But if it's a hobby, or as much as this is a hobby, because I guess a passion, a vocation,
artistic expression,
exactly. It's not. We have our own jobs, our own kind of. That's where how we pay our bills. It's meant to be fun.
Yeah, you're supposed to enjoy it. Yeah,
we accept that.
You won't do it if you didn't enjoy it. Then there's something very masochistic about it.
Well, that's
doing it in the first.
I guess the topic in itself, that people can not like the process, but can like the outcome.
Yeah, sure.
As in, I know some people who prefer to be known as creatives than actually do the creating. There was a whole host of people that was back involved in the computer game design scene back years ago in Dublin. There was so many people who had their company name and their company email address and their company this, but they never actually put in the work of actually creating a game.
Yeah.
They just like the idea of being a game designer rather than actually making a game.
Yeah. Got them into clubs.
Well, yeah, but to say that got them
computer clubs.
Yeah, sure, why not? But it does detract from the fun because you're moving information around. Again, to just code this off, to bring it back to the start, the baseline, you're moving information around.
Yeah.
And you have to be aware of what that does on an individual character level. If a person knows that, a person dealing with the death of their father, say you have a character who they get into the whatever they're into, they're a spy, they're a hunter, they're an archaeologist, whatever they get into because of the death of their father. They then have someone come back in time. They have someone who resets that, so their father is now alive. Yeah. Or someone jumps forward in time and the father tells them, yeah, I might die, but it's not the person's fault.
Yeah.
I had to die for different reasons to happen. If you pass information forward and backward in the timeline, that person changes. It
has to have consequences.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it is not just the let's have a cool moment.
Yeah.
Is.
That's like, I don't know if you've ever read or seen the animated version of the Flashpoint Paradox. It's a DC.
I've read the Flashpoint, and I think I saw the animation.
Yeah, so Flash can travel in time, and he goes back to save his mother.
Yeah,
only to come back to a world where everything is wrong.
Yeah.
Like I think like the Amazons are fighting with
the Atlanteans invaded,
and Superman has been in some cell for
under red light for all the time.
Yeah.
And Batman isn't Batman; he's his father.
Yeah, Bruce was shot instead of Thomas and Martha Wayne, and they become twisted versions of Batman and the Joker.
Oh yes, and the Joker, absolutely. Yeah,
that's a bit of a spoiler.
It's been out for a very
long time. So if you haven't caught that, that's too bad. Yeah. But so that's in a similar way the type of story is like trying to affect one thing just sends everything off into
it
makes it worse.
Yeah, you can't have your preferred outcome. I think it's just because you can't, as we say with the Looper, it could have let's have this really cool scene. Okay, but then you have to build the structure around that to get to that scene, and maybe you fail in that structure. In which case you can't have that scene.
I think if you're going to tackle any kind of even science fiction or fantasy story, if it involves a device like time travel, or if it involves a device, name the device, whatever plot device happens to be, I think the more successful or the better quality tends to be where the device, although present, is taking a real backseat to the characters.
Yes,
like characters will always be what people want to read about. Characters are always going to be what people want to who they want to watch. Like they're not watching Back to the Future for the DeLorean.
Sure,
you know what I mean. It's like it's a shitty car that it's a really bad car.
And
engines.
I think you hit the nail on the head on this. In that, if you when Marty looks at this, like, you made a time machine
out of a
DeLorean, it is taken as, what the fuck did we just do? It is not, oh, you made it out of Bugatti Veyron. It is it is a joke, or it is well, yes, I don't think I could afford. But then you look at something like Ready Player One, and the nostalgia is the car.
Sure.
And that's where the real kind of trick happens or the real problem has, because that movie is not about characters. It's about the fluff around it.
Yeah.
And while the fluff is entertaining, the fluff has context.
Yeah, sure.
The Iron Giant, again, a feature of Ready Player One, is a wonderful, heartwarming story. But just having the Iron Giant there stomping around and things, you're forgetting
as a mech suit, basically.
It's actually something, yeah. It's a person inhabiting it. It's actually, you could say, rather than just on a grander scale of things, that the powers that you have, the spells, the high super tech you're using, is there to serve the story.
Mhm.
And if you are spending so much time on that, if that's the thing that you graft onto, then you have a problem.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And we may come back to this topic. I mean,
I'm going for a smoke. I've never smoked in my life, but I've heard it has a relaxing qualities.
He's been thinking about Looper too much. But yeah, so we are going to wrap it up here for this particular episode. So I would just like to welcome along to Fictional Problems.
No, stop it.
We're right back at the start. Season 2. Here we go. We can't wait to get into this topic of time travel. Just kidding. Okay.
Keep watching the skies.
All the best. All right.